Kind of digging it. Come on, you got to dance to the music here. You gotta. No dancing. No dancing. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, the coffee's a good idea. Good morning, everyone. It is 8:30 and 20 seconds on August 5th, Thursday. Which what did I say the other day? It was it's November 2nd, so like it's November 3rd now, right?
Yes.
I think it's something about that. Something right. Good morning, Jason. What's going on with you?
Not too much. Home at the Barrington Studios. Get some stuff I got to do down in the Portsmouth area for some agents. So I did not travel north. I stayed local for this morning, and we'll see where the day brings me.
All right. You said when we were off air a few minutes ago, you said that there was some amplifiers over at the Portsmouth office. Is there a band starting? Are we starting a jam band? What's going on?
Well, I don't know what it is. I think it's I think it's going to be called Jeff D'Angelo and the Deftones, or the Tone Defs, maybe.
I was going to say, wait a minute.
There was a couple antique amplifiers there, and Jeff walked by me and goes, "What are we starting a band?" And he was all excited. So I don't know if he wants to be the front man on that, or I think he's have to fight Tim for that spot.
Yeah, he'd probably have to fight Tim for the front spot. Well, Tim's got all the mics, so
just ask him. Don't bring that up.
Oh my God! Well, he's got that old vintage 50s mic, which I absolutely love. He'll tell you the number and the model and all that. I just know it's a vintage 60s.
Yeah, he's like, I got a 74, 76, 73. You ever seen one of those? I'm like, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know what he's doing today, but I'm pretty sure that yesterday during jury duty, he was probably cited for contempt of court, and maybe he's going to spend the next couple of days.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so he's Tim text anybody
overnight.
Answer, please. We will bail him out. We have the money. Just forward it to us. We'll go get him.
Well, you'll go get him. I'm not going to go get him.
Well, he stopped by and left me the money to get him out. It's not my money. It's his money. He's like, this is going to happen. So be prepared. Here's a sack. He gave me a tube sock full of 50s.
Yeah, that's tube sock full of 50s. You gotta love that. Okay, hey, well, so anyway, so it is a Thursday, August 5th, and we are talking today. One of the big things today is the new agent orientation, the virtual orientation. So we're gonna kind of just jump into that. I did see a schedule on Facebook that is going to cover the topics for today, and it's actually broken down into the different hours. And so I would like to actually bring that up. Jason, do you happen to know the schedule off the top of your head? What's going to happen for the breakdown?
I don't. I know the beginning of it is like, meet leadership, know who the people in Market Center are, and then they go into an agent etiquette panel, which Jen Vachon's going to discuss, and then you break a little bit, and then you come back to compliance. You meet with Tristan, talks about how to get paid at the table, and then I cover the tail end of it for essential forms that you need.
Oh, so you're going to be doing that? You're going to be in it as well today.
Oh yeah, it's a star-studded cast in that virtual assistant. Like I said, Tristan gets on it. Kaylee jumps on it for a second. I'm on it. Jen Vachon's on it. I think Virginia or Mark speaks real quick. Like they try to get a little bit of everybody on. If you have a question, what it may be and who to go to type thing. So I mean, it's great for new agents. It's also a great refresher course if it's been a while and you haven't been around the Market Center with COVID, and you want to see who's in the new roles. You know what I mean? Like Colin's been moved up. Obviously, I've been put in a new position. We have Mark Lesniak on the team. You know what I mean? So it's an opportunity to try to see who's who at what office and you know where to go.
Well, the timing is a little bit odd because I'm not able to attend today. We're going to be rearranging that virtual orientation in the coming months. We're going to figure it out so that I can join in a little bit. But I do have 2 classes going on today as well. So it's kind of like for the classes that are happening today, keep in mind that although we have the 101 class happening at the same time, the orientation, my class is at 10 a.m. and it's on Facebook Live and it's also on the YouTube channel, which is kwtechtube.com. Those are both streamed and recorded. So if you don't have, if you have to make a choice this morning, please attend the new agent orientation because you're going to get a lot of great information. You're going to be able to see a lot of different people, and then you can come back and watch the Command 101 class at your convenience. the nice thing about the YouTube channel that we've set up is I put them all into playlists, so you can go and look for the Command 101 playlist, and you can actually go through the entire month in sequence, which was something that we didn't have in the Facebook channels because everything was all discombobulated. So now on the YouTube channel, you can go there, you can say I want to watch the Command 101 from the beginning of the month, and you can watch those through. So I don't mind if my class is empty today because I know that you have the virtual orientation, and I do urge you to actually kind of attend that one if you're a new agent, and then watch mine later. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, I've got the Command Select classes, which is creating your first Facebook business page. I think that's right. Is that the business page or the ad? Let me just double check it real quick here. It is your business page. So this is going to be talking about setting up your business page inside of Facebook. If you haven't done that, it would be great to watch that. Again, that's kind of happening during the virtual orientation, so it will be streamed on YouTube and on Facebook, so you can watch those later on. Other than that, we've got the other big news for tonight is night school. So night school is coming up. What you guys going to be talking about in night school tonight?
Well, we left off last week with a little bit of scripting, so we'll probably do a little bit more of that. And then whatever questions come up, the biggest thing that we're seeing that we're probably going to talk a little bit about is escrow releases, because we're seeing different scenarios of escrows being released and the timing of it, and actually when the best time to ask for an escrow release from the other brokerage that is not happy about the deal falling apart. So, the timing of it, that's going to be the big thing with that script.
Mm-hmm. So, non-agent here. Why would an escrow? What's this falling apart thing? What does that mean?
So, if a client, buyer and seller, can't agree on, let's say, an inspection or any type of a term after they're under agreement, and the buyer says, "I want out," or the seller says, "We want to move forward with another buyer," and everybody agrees, we have to have a form. It's an escrow release form, and that form actually terminates the deal. That's what makes it officially terminated. It's not an agent saying it or a buyer saying it. Because what we've seen in the past is I'm an agent and you're an agent, we'll say. And I say, hey, Robert, my buyers want to back out of 123 Main Street. And you say, okay, we're going to go back on the market. And then all of a sudden, my buyers an hour later say, no, we really want to go back because that happens. That happens. Or your sellers in the same way. You know what I mean? Like they get that whole, well, we made a rash decision. It's not us saying it anymore. It's not the agent saying it. Now it's in writing. We are a contract business. Right. And we fall into the realm of when the market starts to get tilted like this, where it becomes more of a get it done, quick. And we start to fall aside on the contracts and the actual due diligence and the process of how it needs to be done in case you wind up at the commission. Because up at the commission or at a realtor board, you don't get to speak much. It's where's the paperwork? If you don't have the paperwork, then it's a problem. So the other issue to that is if something closes, and we need an addendum signed, something like that, buyers tend to ghost you, right? They're excited. They're moving in. You know what I mean? They're all about their house. You know what I mean? So like you need a form signed, and they're really not getting back to you. So so it's the timing of when you need to get these docs signed, and so that you keep your behind out of trouble.
Any suggestions on how to make sure that after a deal closes, if you do need anything that's added for documentation, any suggestion on how to make sure that happens to get back to your buyers and get that stuff done, other than just camping on their doorstep?
Yeah, this kind of goes back to what you were saying yesterday, like the optional forms, right? If you get a buyer or you get a listing, immediately send your file in. The compliance team's going to look at it, let you know what else needs to be done. The minute you go under agreement with a purchase and sale agreement, that file needs to be sent in, right? And the minute you go on, you're closed, you send that file in. That way, if there's anything missing, it's easier to go back and say, hey, listen, I need a HUD statement signed. People don't get mad about that. When you need a form that says that, for instance, we're going to change escrow companies, and the buyer and the seller didn't know that, then the seller gets upset. You know what I mean? Like and little things could upset somebody. Your high I, your high D, your high C, depending on the person, depending on what it is, could really upset them. Well, if I known that, I wouldn't have done this, right? Because not all deals are clean. You know what I mean? So as far as what I mean by clean is like sometimes buyers feel like sellers got more. Sometimes sellers feel like buyers got more. And if you're going after them with a piece of paper after the fact to get signed because compliance is saying we can't pay you until that's done because technically you weren't under agreement, right? And then that's how it all works, right? And the minute an attorney gets involved, then that's when me, Nate, and Jen have to get involved, and then it's a lot of why did we do that? We don't know. You know what I mean? So we have to follow the rules of how things get done, and that's what we're noticing. Just the process of the paperwork, how to script around it, how to let be the agent of truth. You know what I mean? Scripting is not. Is people say to me all the time, "I don't like scripting." It sounds like a used car salesman. Scripting is not lying. Scripting is it's an honest conversation, fierce conversation. You know, Tim say that. Sometimes you got to say, "Hey, Robert, listen, the buyer's backed out. They according to this contract, they do have the right, and we probably should release the $50,000 that we have in the account." You're not going to want to hear that as the seller, but that's what the contract says, right?
Right.
John Duffy, the greatest broker I've ever met, always said to me, "You have a client until you have a contract, then you represent the contract."
Yeah, there you go. That's actually really good.
Yeah.
So, in that vein, we were talking off air that one of the conversations that I'd like to have today, because we have a broker here. So we have somebody that is, by far one of the experts in what we're doing here as far as command and making sure that the things are, well, he's actually, we're going to bring him in a minute.
Oh, let's see. Oh, you got Jen at your house? Okay, great.
So now that we have you here, I'm gonna share the screen here, and I'm gonna put. That's not gonna work. We'll come back to you, and I'll switch the screen over so that does work. Give me 1 second, Jason. Talk about things that are cool for a second while I go behind the scenes here.
I'm cool. My headset's cool, even though Tim does say I look like an NFL defensive coordinator. All I need is the piece of paper over my face. When they tell the safety to move over or whatever it may be. I don't watch that much football, but
you don't watch that much football.
Now, I'm a hockey guy, where coaches don't wear uniforms. They wear suits and sit on the bench and be quiet because they're professional athletes. They should know their job. That's my thing.
That's your thing? Okay. All right. Keep talking. I'm not quite there yet.
So, yeah, night school, 6:00, kellertv.com. And we're on. Sometimes we're on for a half hour. Sometimes we're on for, I've been on it since 10 o'clock one night. It was crazy. But it's fun. We have a good time. It's more comical real estate and the easy side of stuff. It's not hang out with the broker and get yelled at. That's not what it is.
That's good news. Okay, so I'm just trying to switch around so that I can actually show my little screen here, and there it is. And now I have it, so I will bring this up over here. There we go. All right, so I'll go ahead and push this over to there. Good. Okay, so I'm just going to really quickly, I'm going to open up a contract because I want to ask you a little bit about specifically when you're dealing with commissions and getting to the commissions. Now, I know that when we go in here, one of the things that we're going to see is, the offers and commissions tab. Now, this particular transaction, regardless of the paperwork being in here, I'm just going to jump over the offers and commissions tab. We did this once before, and I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of forgot some of the things that we had talked about. And, I'm like a lot of people. We go through it one time, and then the next thing you know, I've forgotten. So when we're creating a new offer, and I'm not going to lie, full disclosure, sometimes I forget things here. When we create a new offer, the default is that it's going to give us our initial offer option here. When we create this, the first page on that offer is going to give us just the date and the close date potential information here. So the next one is, of course, going to give us our parties, and I'll just put myself in here as the second party. And I want to get the page that I'm actually interested in is the next page here. So I'm going to go ahead and pop over. Yeah, this here, right here. Not the pros and cons. It's this page here, the terms. We can, with this one's easy. The top here is cash. So let's say we're do 20,000 in cash, and then the finance is 500. Okay. So the question that I had last time and I forgot about was this earnest amount, option fees, termination options, and seller costs. Can you walk me through those things again?
Okay. So go to because it's kind of hard for me to see it. What's that one say?
This is the earnest
amount. So escrow amounts is going to be how much money that KW or the other brokerage is holding, right? So your terms, your cash is going to be, so if I send over a purchase and sale agreement, it says it's an 80-20. I'm going to borrow $100,000 because the math is just easier for me, Robert. I'm financing, I'm borrowing I'm purchasing a house for $100,000 and I'm doing an 80-20. So I'm putting $20,000 down, right? So that would be 20 in one, 80 in the other, total cash, 100. Right? That's a conventional loan. That is your typical 20% down, no PMI. Earnest money, I'm going to put in an escrow account depending on who it is. Right now, we don't do percentages here. Some market centers in some areas of the country will always do that 1 to 5%. We typically do. What are we seeing on this price point? Right. Let's be honest. We see $1,000. Right. Yeah. Okay. So just put $1,000 there. So try to wind up being 1%. But most of the deals that we do are $1,000 to $2,000 escrows. They're not huge money unless we start talking a bigger price point. But
So can we say that
most
Earnest is escrow? Is that kind of like an
Earnest and
equatable
escrow
term?
is the same. Yeah,
Okay, so Earnest and escrow in the case of the software here mean the same thing.
yes.
Okay, that helps me a lot. Okay, excellent.
Now
Okay,
your
so
option fee, I have no clue what that is. That's got to be for honestly, don't know. The thing with Commanded that's great about it is it's allowing us to see what other parts of the country do, right? And we should look into this because if we should using it, it'd be a great idea, right? But then there's the termination option, which is how many days past the contract they can terminate it. Buyers will give a notice, right? So that day is typically your commitment date. So that's going to be a week before closing. So that would be if Tim's saying in 90 days, go a week less. So that would be 80. 90 minus 7 is 83 days.
83 days. Yep.
Yep. And then your seller costs, seller will contribute. Now this is if you have a seller that says I'm willing. Listen, Rob, you had a bad furnace. We're willing to give $5,000. We don't want to fix the furnace. We just want to close and walk away from all this headache of selling our house. So you'd see earnest contributions there of the seller offering X amount of money, depending on what it is. And it didn't appraise in. It didn't do this. It didn't do that. And inspection problems, permit problems. I mean, we've seen sellers contribute money for anything. So you could just put $1,000 in there so we know kind of what it's doing there.
Okay.
And then the settlement costs. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say
Settlement
on the
costs.
contribute. Let me go back to the contributor for just a second. So could we consider this like a concession? The seller is going to concede X amount of dollars because something didn't match up, and so they're going to say, well, we'll discount the price by discounting the end values by X amount, so that you feel confident buying the house, and we're discounting it by this amount of money so that you can do maybe those extra repairs that we talked about that we couldn't get done before you bought the house, kind of thing.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Like we see this a lot in the wintertime. So it's the middle of winter. You know, the seller says, listen, I know the roof is bad, right? But there's 2 feet of snow on it. The inspector's going to say, I'm not going up there and shovel it. So they'll escrow or contribute $10,000 for a roof, whatever the number may be.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So seller will contribute blank amount to the settlement cost. That's if the seller's going to pay any prepaid settlement stuff. So if they're going to pay tax stamps for somebody, we typically don't do that here. That is something that we typically don't do anything on the settlement statement. We just track it off the price of the home, right?
Okay, so if we did consider this as another contribution, we wouldn't put it here. We would put it in discounting the price of the home upstairs, up top.
That's what we do. Yeah, in New England, that's pretty relevant. I mean, they may do this. You may see this on like a $5 million house up on the lake or $2 million house on the water in Portsmouth or York. You know what I mean? You may see somebody say, listen, I'll pay your tax stamps because that bill is $7,000, $10,000, $15,000. So, but it's very rare that we see this.
Okay, all right. So that really helps. And if anybody has any questions about these things, of course you can feel free to ask Jen or you can ask Jason. We're all available here for you. But this really helps a lot understand what's going on this page, especially about understanding this option fee, that it's not necessarily something we use currently, and also for the seller contributing to the settlement cost. And I think also, frankly, that the fact that we can equate Earnest to escrow, that really helps me a lot, and it'll help understand for new agents what we're actually talking about here. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this little offer here, and I'm going to accept the offer because, as you know, we can't move to the commissions tab without talking about getting an offer accepted first. Although we used to be able to do that in here, you could kind of bypass the offer section. Now the offer is required to move on to the commissions tab. So now that we have the offer in, let's go ahead and take a look at the commissions. Some of the things that come up here very often, and I have to answer a lot of these questions because people don't understand the difference between adding an agent that you're splitting with internally, an agent that you're working with externally, and also the referrals internally and the referrals externally. Those are the things that kind of stump people a little bit here and there. When you're working with this, can you define what a situation would be where you're working with an agent internally?
So when you're working with a fellow KWCLM agent, right? If we're going to co-list, that's different. Now, if Robert says to me, "Hey Jay, listen, I've got my cousin that wants to buy a house in Portsmouth. I do Nottingham, you do Portsmouth. Just give me a referral. Referrals don't go on command, right? That's a sheet that you fill out between two agents. You sign it. Leadership signs it. Jeff, Jen, Nate, somebody like that will sign it, and that is it's a form that's in the KWCLM forms. That just goes to Kaylee, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Kaylee will understand that she's got to pay 20%, 5%, whatever you agreed upon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no set amount. People say to me all the time, "What's the set amount?" It's what two agents agreed upon. Now, if
Mm-hmm.
I'm co-listing, where Robert says, "Hey Jay, listen, I'm a new agent. I want to list my house, but I'm not really good at it. Can you, I'm brand new. Can you help me?" And I say, "Yeah, Robert, how do you want to work it?" And he says, "Well, we'll split the commission. We'll go 50-50. Let's just say."
Okay.
That's
Mm-hmm.
where you would add me on this sheet. You would add a second agent onto this.
Okay.
And
So
then
this is this button here.
yeah, add another agent. Or co-bro. Add another
Well,
agent. You're right.
right, because co-broke is external.
Right.
What's that? All right. So in adding another agent, if I was to put Jason on here,
Yeah, I should come up.
yep, you should definitely come up. All right. So we would talk here about the units. As we know, each transaction has a value of 1 unit, 100% of the transaction. When you think about it in percentages instead of units, it's a lot easier to kind of figure out what we're talking about. What is the percentage or the value of one that Jason will get? And this goes to that conversation of, splits. So Jason just mentioned a 50% split. So the agent units here would be 0.50 or 50%. Now, one of the tricks that also happens here is, when I've typed in the 50% here, or the 0.50, it does not calculate the commission automatically. You actually have to press this button and to get the commission to calculate. And so the rest of this information I'm going to skip for now, and I just want to show you something that happens. When I save the changes to that 0.5% or the half a unit that Jason gets, remember the total value of the transaction is 1 unit, right? Well, what happens is just because we added Jason, it does not automatically come down here and adjust your percentage of the units. If I slide down the page here, you'll see that Jason's section under the Jason Westcott as the agent, we've got this correct at 0.5, and we've calculated his commission. But right now, we're technically over the units. We've got 1.5 units. So this is where people get confused. They add that second agent in there, but they forget to come back up to edit their value of units. So when we go back into your units, we have to make sure that we adjust your units 0.5, and we have to recalculate that commission here as well. This is really important because now we have the proper total value of 1 unit. That's for when we're talking about an internal agent that you are splitting the transaction with. Now, outside people, tell me a little bit about a situation where you'd have a co-broke.
A co-broke is an outside referral. So that would be somebody like somebody from, as Tim would say, the balloon company, or let's say Keller Williams Metro out of Bedford. That's where you would put in their stuff so that Kaylee knows how much to pay out to that company. And that should ask you for the company EIN number, right?
Right. I was going to say, some people, when I talk about this one here, they're like, well, how do I get that EIN number? How do I get that tax ID, the social security number? And, what if the agent doesn't want to give it to me? So have you heard of that actually happening when you go to a co-broker and say, I need your tax ID number to get you paid? Have you ever heard anybody say no?
So when an agent says no to you, it's probably honestly lack of knowledge, right? EIN numbers are public. You can actually go look them up. The problem is that if you try to look up Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains, you're not going to find one because our true business name is New England Coastal Realty, right? When you go to the commission and you look up your license, it says New England Coastal Realty because that is a DBA Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains because Keller Williams is owned by Gary, so we can't own that, right? So when an agent says that to you, twofold here. If you email Tristan, 9 times out of 10 we already have it. Because we've been in business long enough where most of the local brokerages we've done deals with, some agent over the years has done a deal. So we probably have it. If we don't, and the agent says that, just listen. It's not the time to yell, right? It's the time to say, I understand, it is a public knowledge. I do need it for tax reasons. And if they still give you a little bit of a hard time, just call their main office and just say, hey, listen, hey, blah, blah, blah company. This is Jay Westcott from Keller Williams. I just calling. I need you guys' EIN number. I'm doing a deal with Robert Vinson. and I have to pay them a referral. They're going to give it to you because they want the money, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if you call the front desk and Helen's going to give it to you, they know it. It's not a huge number. It's not like it's 74 numbers. It's 8 or 9 numbers. I think it's 9. So it's a pretty easy thing to get. But agents do freak out because they start thinking taxes and IRS and Social Security numbers, and it's not the same. It's the business tax ID number, and like I said, it's public knowledge.
So it's not their personal number unless they're in business and they're personally in business, right? I mean, it's just them.
It will never be their number. It's always their brokerage number. Remember that we can never pay commissions directly to an agent. It always has to go to the brokerage. So, like, for instance, I'm going to take it like Marcus Catkins, Purple Acorns team. He's registered as Purple Acorns LLC. I don't know if that's true, but I know he has a business name. It's never that tax ID number. The money never goes to Marcus. It always has to go to Keller Williams, and then we pay Marcus.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anything we do, the check gets made out. So you do a BPO for $50, the check has to be made out to Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains.
Okay, so Sue Doyle just posted in here a statement, and a couple of people followed up with the same thing. We W-9 from the other firm and the referral agreement go into your command docs. This is an additional piece of information. So you need the W-9 and you need the command the referral form, the KWCLM referral form, to go into the docs as well. Now, I think Sue, if I'm not mistaken, you're talking about when we're talking about a referral rather than a brokerage, a co-broker, and please feel free to respond to that. Jason, is that make sense? And is that something that we're all on the same page with?
Yeah, I mean, you'd want to have it if, I don't think there's a spot for it in command as far as the docs go, like the tabs. I don't think there's a spot. I could be wrong. They're adding stuff to that every day. But this tracks it. So if you ever do need it, the reason why we need it, guys, is 3 years down the road, if you're not with Keller Williams or you're not in real estate or whatever, and someone calls, Nathan needs to have access to that. At the end of the day, Nate, every deal we do is technically Nathan, right? You're just the appointed or the designated broker to the deal. It's all under Keller Williams Coastal Lakes and Mountains, which is Nate, Jen, and I as of now. But everything, Nate is the DP. Everything is truly Nate. So if Nate doesn't have access to the docs, that's where there's a problem. So as long as it's in here, like Kaylee will need it. That's why it's a red dot. You're not going to move to the next step without having it in there. And I agree with Sue Doyle. Shadow folder reasons wise, you should put it in there. You can add stuff to command and name it. You can name your own thing and add a form to the file, and that's fine. You know what I mean? But do a lot of agents do that? No.
Sue is mentioning that indeed that is a slot in the command area for putting in the W-9 there, and she's also saying that this is definitely for the outside referral. So a couple of people have mentioned that the W-9 can go in there, and while we're talking about this, I'm going to go ahead and back up, and I'm going to look at the actual opportunity itself, and I think what we're going to see in the documents area is, I guess the big question would be, is this an under contract place, or is this going to be, I'm just trying to scan very quickly through. Keep in mind that there are 3 types of documents that you can add into each of the folders in the transaction. There's required documents, optional documents, and there's also conditional documents. So make sure you look through those areas. I'm not seeing it right now. My screen's a little bit too big for me to see all of the stuff I need to. But we do have slots for this information. And honestly, even if there wasn't, you can still add that information in by creating a slot for that or putting it into a custom folder. The bottom line is it needs to be in there. So you're going to need the W-9 from the outside agent referral. And she says the bottom of the first page. So let me go and look at that real quick for her. Sue, thank you so much for your input on this.
It should be under contract or buyer consult. So, go there. Go to the bottom.
Okay, so let me go and see if I can find this really quick. Disclosures. And I am seeing it. This is where, I'm going to totally, because I can't see it right now. So I'm going to totally say yes, absolutely, because I totally trust Sue. And I know that even if it's something where I can't see it, it is going to be in there. So with that knowledge, make sure that you if you have any questions about the commissions process, please feel free to reach out to us. And as you can see, even sometimes when I look at some things here, I get like, okay, so what's the situation? We need to know exactly what's going on before we determine how to move forward. So if you're confused or if you have any questions about it as you're doing this, reach out to all of us, any of us here, and if we don't know the answer off the top of our head, we can get the answer for you. But the idea behind all of these things, the one thing I wanted to kind of pass along today, Sue says maybe no coffee yet, maybe page 2. So let me go ahead and I'll push that back over here. Okay, so keep in mind that, you know, the whole month here we're talking about command. So we're going to drop little tidbits on that on you about command. As we get ready to close out today, I would like to say to you, if you have something that you would like to see us discuss on this morning topics about command, because the whole month is about this. It's, you know, so that one time at command camp, I want you guys to be thinking about that. Think about questions you might have. If you have any, shoot us an email, shoot me an email, shoot anybody an email, and we can get this information so that we can share it with anyone. Sometimes maybe we just want to share your experience and the best practices that you've found to do things. We would love to hear your ideas and share them with everybody else. So it's 9:00. Jason, what anything other than the what are you doing this weekend? I should say, because we already talked about today. Anything coming up this weekend? Good. We're doing.
Well, you'll find me at least one day, depending on the weather, at York Beach walking. Right, I try to get my weekly walk in. I post that picture. I am on a life journey, if you will, right now. As far as COVID was a big wake up for me, so you're seeing me get a little more active with my personal life.
Very cool.
Trying to lose a little bit of weight. So.
Yeah, you know, I'm right behind you. Like I'm a little bit further behind you. I'm actually here, and that's where I'm gonna stay.
In that new chair.
Yeah, my new chair. All right, you guys, it's 9:00. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We will see you tomorrow morning. Tim is not on for the final day here tomorrow, so it's just going to be us. And you know, if you have anything, like I said, you want to talk about on the command front, give us a shout and let us know. Other than that, you guys have an awesome day. Go visit it's starting right now on KellerTV.com is going to be the new agent orientation. Go there and have some fun. We'll talk to you guys later. Take care.